Hey, how are you, Anthony?
I'm good. Just hanging out in my library reading books, and you called.
Yeah, that sounds just like
I'm
you.
Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the number one show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody, welcome to No Vacancy Live. We got Anthony Melcuri in the house. I'm Glenn Hausman, and I love that you're in a library reading books. Anthony, I have not read a lot of books that were not hotel business related, written by friends in a while. And I got myself, Father's Day's coming up, I got myself a blockbuster book. How are you?
The last book you read was my book.
Uh, yeah, unless Sarah's was after.
No, Sarah's was way before.
Oh yeah, like a year before, I think, or something like that. She's got it together much better than us.
Yeah. So, how are you, man? You know, it's interesting. Somebody just asked me, I'm working on a project, and they said, "Are you still doing the podcast?" I said, "Sure." Go, how often do you do it? I said, "Well," and then I went through the history of our podcast.
Yep.
Where COVID hit 5 days a week, 12 o'clock, 3 hours, 2 hours, wherever it went. Then it went to 4, then it went to 3, and now we're so busy. We still do it. We're still committed to it. And then when I'm not around, you do it. But so we do it less frequently, but I think it's still as vital, as important as ever.
Yeah. Unfortunately, our guest is not here yet today. We don't know if he'll be able to make it. You know, in the world of big business, dumb stuff happens. But we love bringing those kinds of stories to you. And it's so important for us to work and together and learn together. And Anthony, I feel like a shameless plug coming on. And one way you do that is we're educating the audience over at High Tech. We're doing the big opening morning keynote speech. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, so we're like a week and a half away. We better get our crap together. We've been working hard on it, but we're still got to put our finishing touches on it. And it's interesting. I think our take on it will be hopefully well received, but it's maybe it's not what people expect us to be talking about or how we're going to be talking about it. But you know what's good? Yeah. Doesn't matter. Once we get on the stage, they got no choice.
Yeah. Listen. So. Right. So, oh boy. So, you know what I think we should do? We should do we should talk about my grandmother's chopped liver recipe to make Suzanne feel good about stuff. Little in joke there. She's laughing.
So, how can we talk about how fortunate we are to be asked to deliver a keynote at one of the biggest conferences in our industry?
Yeah, it is. It is really great. And one of the things that I think we came into ourselves as being thought leaders over this last number of years and really hearing what people are saying and be able to synthesize all of those great things that we hear out there into real, practical, actionable insights that the incredible hospitality community can leverage for their success.
And you know, with all my experience and everything we've done on this podcast and everything else we do, it really comes down to build a really well-oiled machine hotel, which means make sure the parking lot's lit. Make sure the front desk is functional. Make sure the room is functional. At the end of the day, get out of the way of the hotel. Doesn't matter the brand. Doesn't matter the stars. Doesn't matter anything. It's a bed. It's a toilet. It's a shower. It's in a good location. It has parking. It has breakfast. You're set. Now focus on your employees. Focus on making them hoteliers. Get them to want to replace you. And that's what I'm really, really passionate about. And that's what I'm really focused on. And so with all, like, whether I'm an asset manager, I'm sitting in financial meetings or whatever it is, it all comes down to, hello, may I help you?
Yeah, absolutely. And make sure that you watch our interview from yesterday with Ashish Verma of the Unbound Collection Chotwal in New York City, where we talk about that very specific issue. But Anthony, you know, we were talking at the beginning about how busy we've been, and I've been going to conferences, and you've been up there and you're doing what you love. You're helping to reinvent certain hotels and kind of get your hands dirty again, which I know is something that you've been very vocal about.
I'm the chief strategy officer of Colwyn, other duties, and I work with them. They're a company out of Massachusetts. I've worked with them out of New England. I've worked with them on and off for 5 years. And finally, I kind of dove in the deep side of the pool and said, let's work. And so I'm fortunate enough to be the chief strategy officer, and I was just spending time up in their hotel in at Diamond Cove,
Mhm.
and it's off of Portland, Maine. Gorgeous hotel, 44 rooms. Chef, it shocked me. I was expecting good food. I wasn't expecting the food, that level of
Right.
that food. It's really nice. And it's not like, you go to Fire Island, you go to the beach, you get on bikes, and there's a bunch of restaurants. Here it's 2 restaurants, basically, or 3 restaurants. And there's biking, and of course there's beach and stuff, but it's an old fort. So when you go there, you're really going there just to turn off and explore. And I met a couple I was talking to in the living room yesterday,
Right.
and they said that this is one of the best vacations because great accommodations, great food, but you just shut it off, and you're 45 minutes or 35 minutes from Portland, so it's not like you can walk to Target.
Yeah. No, and that really has to put you at the top of your game, though, to make sure all the guest needs are accommodated. And
And I'm really doubling down. I'm sorry. I'm really doubling down on. I talked to 5 young people that are. One was a dock master, which is in charge of the marina. He went to school for being a captain. I spoke to another young man that's an engineer. He got the bug of hospitality with a summer job. And I was like, I realized what my why is for the next X amount of years of my life. It's getting those people to make sure they stay in the industry. Period. End of story. Nothing fancy. I've done everything I want to do in my career. All I want to do is make sure that kid that's the dock master or that kid's the engineer stays in this industry.
yeah, I think my wife wants to be a dock master. She's been watching a whole lot of Below Deck lately, so she's training really hard right now. Anthony, I'm curious though. You say you're chief strategy officer, but practically, what does that mean? What is your role on a day-to-day basis with them, and how are you bringing that philosophy to life?
Well, it's a great question. There's 2 roles, right? My role is a support role. My role is to really help the people that are running the company. They built an incredible company. Their owner is one of the smartest, if not the smartest person I've ever met in the industry. That's why I was attracted to it. And it's to support the executives,
Right.
to kind of look at what they're, like I say, like we have to change the wheel when the car is moving, right, in the hotel business. So you keep the car moving, I'll change the wheel. So what does that mean? It's like, where is the most bang for the buck? So what do we need to focus on? Take 2 or 3 slivers, and then just you know me. I'm a dog on a bone.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 or 3 things that I'm going to be focused on. And I will tell you the number one thing that the company's focused on is continuing to keep young people excited about this business and to develop the managers and to develop the young people for this business. That's why I've been attracted to it. But from a strategy standpoint, whether it be growth of the business, whether it be real estate of the business, whether it be service, whatever it is, I'm there to help them kind of focus on what it is that they want to get done in the next 12, 18, 24 months and kind of take that on as my toolkit so they can focus on the working on running the company.
Well, I will tell you, you've got your work cut out for you because there's no low-hanging fruit that I've seen in that organization. I say that as a paying customer who has stayed in multiple of their hotels in New England and found everyone on their team, particularly whoever was front-facing, to be highly energetic and highly engaged and passionate about it. So I don't know how you're going to up the passion anymore, but if anyone can do it, you sure can.
This is what they said is, if I decide to work with them, is you have to understand everybody's different. Everybody's got different personalities in life, right?
Yeah.
The one thing that is our constant is they're in one gear. And that gear, you better be in the same gear as them. And the reason I really, really like working with them is I'm usually the person in the lead, kind of in the highest speed, working the longest hours and all that. I'm nothing. I'll give you an example. This morning,
Right.
7:30 till literally 10 minutes ago, I was on. Okay, I was talking to you at 7:30 this morning.
Yeah, of course.
So, they got one speed, and you better be in it. And if you're not, you're done. But taking your foot off the gas and not keeping focus on what's made them successful. So we got to do that. We got to continue to do that. So my job is a support role to support the leadership however they see fit. But our focus is really on development of people
And develop.
and development of buildings. And there's always something developed. They just opened 2 hotels in Annapolis that are absolutely beautiful. And Leo, who's the owner, is also very hands-on design. So you walk into a hotel anywhere in the country, and if you know Colwyn Hotels, you know it's a Colwyn Hotel. It's a brand without being a brand that people know.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I love that. I like what you're saying about development and bringing together the people side and the real estate side, because one of the things that we don't address much is really those things are closely tethered if you want to try to grow your associates. Because if you're not expanding the number of properties that you're either owning or operating, if you're a management company, then you're losing the potential of good people, because you only have X amount of, let's say, GM slots. And if somebody is ready for that position and you don't have a space for them to go, then you're going to lose a great employee to another company.
And I think that's one reason I got involved with them, because, I'm still running my company, still doing everything else. But like working with them I was getting a little brain dead, right? Meaning like you walk in, like we're supposed to be the experts. When you work with them, it's like you realize I already made a mistake. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I can't believe I made that mistake. And I was just like, I should have done that. And I didn't do it. So, and then they call you out on it, which is great. I said something to somebody and they were like, well, yeah, you should have done that. And instead of saying, oh, don't worry about it, they're like, yeah, you should have done that. I was like, shit. So
Yeah.
I like being excited about the business again. I'm always excited about the business, but really in holding stuff, like you can't, listen, I hate to say it, but most management companies are not great. Right. I have to be careful because now I'm working with Cohen. I can't say things like most management companies suck. I got to be more appropriate.
I mean, if they want to not suck, they could hire you. But
they operate, they design, and they're just a great bunch of people that have built the company. The vice presidents of the company have built the company with the owner, and man, they're sharp as hell. And they've been operators. They've done everything. They've done everything. So, so I'm there to support them in any way I can. And, and I love being in hotels. Like I said, I was in a hotel for 2 days. Basically, I have an office out of Massachusetts. I'm there a couple of days a week, but basically I'm either in my home office in New York or I'm in one of their hotels.
That's pretty cool. And you're still doing a whole lot of running around doing other stuff as well. But I love that even at our age, we're still learning stuff every day. So when you say you made a mistake, was it a generational kind of thing?
It was just a dumb thing I didn't look at and I should have looked at.
I get you. But that's cool, though, because sometimes we all got to be reminded the details are so important, right?
I was so focused on not disrupting because they just opened because it's a seasonal hotel, not disrupting the GM. So I kind of went along where he was going and supporting him. And I should have said, hey, by the way, and I didn't. But anyway, but my point being is I owned up to it, right? I didn't wait for somebody to say, you know what that idiot did? I owned up to it right away and say, I should have done that. Didn't do it. Sorry. And that's kind of what I'm trying to teach younger general managers and young managers or young employees. Put your hand up and say, oops. People may say something, but at the very least, you don't want to be the person people are coming to and saying, why didn't you do that? Own up to it and say, I didn't do that. And
hey, listen, in my theory of being selfish, it's actually the smartest thing you could do for yourself is to own up to it. If you want to do good for yourself, admit your mistakes, because it makes you look better when you accept responsibility, and then people are going to change things. It's just like we had the conversation yesterday. If there's a customer service issue, you have a chance to make the experience better for the customer by fixing a mistake. If you make a mistake, you can make the experience better for you in your career by owning up to it and fixing it.
Yeah, and the reason I chose to work with them is because they're great people, but they're big enough to get me really to be creative, but small enough where you see impact immediately. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested in a company that doesn't have heart. You know me, like say to me, it's like, dude, you love this business more than anybody I've ever met. I have one mission before I leave the show. One. and everybody knows it, is to get young people involved in this business. That's it. I have no other mission to solve in my life anymore. It's not about my career. It's not about money. It's not about power. It's not about position. It's not about new shows. That's all, that's all baked already, right? I've done what I need to do. That's baked. What's not baked is my promise that when I first got these shows and when I first got any kind of level of success or fame or whatever you want to call it,
Variety.
I made a commitment, and you know this, I made a commitment to say I will focus on that. Something happened that was wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm talking to a young lady yesterday, salesperson. She is unbelievable. She's on the island. She works from one of the hotels in Portland, but she supports the island. She had a group. So she gets out there and we're talking and we're having lunch. Me, her, and the general manager are having lunch. And as I'm talking to her, she said, you taught one of my, I had to take you in my hospitality class. I go, what does that mean? She goes, well, one semester you were the semester. I go, excuse me? She goes, you broke down your shows in this little hospitality school. I can't remember the name of it.
Cool. Yeah.
Broke down the school. And I hear that a lot from the bigger schools, but that they did it. Our producer, Suzanne, the reason we know each other is because she broke down my show when she was teaching hospitality at Boston University. And Boston College, Boston University, I always forget.
Boston College, Boston University, Boston College.
And,
Boston.
So that I get to sit with her at lunch and she was learning about my theory of hospitality. That's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that's so cool, Anthony.
My excitement's back. I was getting a little bit like 1 foot on the semi-retired track, and then I'm like, I'm never going anywhere.
Yeah, I just want to catch a nap every once in a while, which, by the way, I finally all caught up with me. I went to sit outside for a little bit yesterday afternoon and fell asleep for 3 hours. I couldn't believe it. So
you always say you're 5 minutes from a nap and a bagel.
Yeah, man, I didn't get that bagel though. Too many carbs for me these days. I'm trying to, trying to look good for the pool.
Well, I had my egg white omelet and I had a little mini bagel.
Right.
I can't cut out my bagel, like my little mini bagel, very toasted with a lot of butter. I shouldn't be having it, but I got on this health kick for a long time, and now every once in a while I have to have that mini bagel.
Yeah, that's too bad for you. So Anthony, we're talking a little bit about giving back and helping and breaking down the episodes of your shows. And I remember when we first got together before the COVID, before we combined everything, we were doing a show called Checking In with Anthony and Glenn. We still have a feed for that where we run the no vacancy stuff. I encourage everyone to look way back because we would break down some of those episodes and you and I would talk about what you were thinking in that moment and the practical stuff that you came up with. And I really enjoyed those. And those got great listens. We should try doing that again at some point.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do it. And what your job is as a general manager or a supervisor, you have one job. And I think if I did anything good in my career, I did this well. My job is to keep the nonsense out of your department, is to keep the noise and the stress out of your area. That's your job.
I love
your
that.
Job is to focus on your job. My job is to take the bullet. My job is to make believe my job's easy. My job, and like I always say, my Jedi mind trick is I don't really look busy. Everybody's like, you do this and you do that and you do this and you do that and you do this. Don't look busy. Just get it done. And so your job is to keep the noise away from your manager. And your job as a manager is to keep your noise away from your employee and so on and so forth. And just focus on the job. And what's the job? The job is to make sure whoever reports into you has everything they need and make sure that the person that's front facing with the guest is everything they need, has everything they need. And, I was just talking this morning to somebody about the golden rule. Golden rule is the customer's always right. No. The golden rule is the customer always has to feel like they're right.
Right.
It's a different mindset.
That's great. It is.
When you teach that the customer's always right, this is what happens. An employee's at the front desk, the guest is wrong, the guest is upset, and all the employee's thinking is, he's not right, she's not right. And I have to make believe she's right. And now I'm pissed off. If you get the tool of, that person's not right, Doesn't matter.
Right.
The things to do, get them away from your desk, make them happy, and go on with your job.
Mm-hmm.
That little trick can launch a career.
I love it. So it's really all about perception. And it's interesting how much we torture ourselves internally by not having the right attitude in particular situations, you know?
Listen, I don't know what happened to me over the years, but I'm very much like, just what's the point of their anger? What's the point of their stress? What's their point? And I'm going to make my point, and I'm going to make it strong, whoever it is. Guest or employee. With a guest, I'm going to be really, really nice. With maybe an employee or somebody I work with, it'll be direct. It'll be nice. Mm-hmm. But you can't, once you're in your lane and you know your lane and you've helped everyone, you've got to control your lane. And what happens with managers too much is they let somebody dip their toe in their lane. Right. It's like, does your toe belong in that lane? Okay. You're helping me? Okay. Oh, now your toe is pushing me into the side of my lane. I'm going to cut your toe off. I don't care if you're my boss. I don't care if you're whoever you are. You can't be in my lane because I can't get to the end of the pool if you're pushing me into the side of the pool. So unless you're there to help me get to the end, and that's another development thing, a development skill that a lot of young managers don't understand. It's like, I don't want to get fired. I don't want to get in trouble. You'll only get in trouble if you don't get to the end of the pool. Success, like just like money fixes a lot of problems, success fixes a lot of problems.
I love it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Anything else in your mind today, Anthony? I think we're doing pretty good for not having anyone show up and have an extemporaneous conversation.
Yeah. So let's give a little behind the curtain of what people can expect at high tech.
Okay.
So, without giving anything away, what can we give away?
I don't know. We're just going to be addressing some of the issues out there today. And, it's no surprise that we're going to make sure that we keep the humanity in hospitality technology. It's right there. The title.
Are we going to talk to them about, we're not going to be there, the robots are going to be there. We have 2 robots.
Oh, dude, I'm going to Palm Springs to play golf, which I don't do, but I figured, why not?
All right, so let's do what we do at this time every day on this show. Let's ask each other a question. So
this time every day, like once every year.
So let's remember I used to say that. Let's do what we do every day. So let's just talk. We know each other pretty well. Yeah. Let's ask each other a question that we may not know about each other.
Hold on. Before we do that, I'm gonna ask you a question coming from Kevin Brown. I'm curious if you gents think pools for most hotels is even a worthwhile driver for experience or profit anymore.
Okay, that's like asking me if is a bed important for a hotel. The answer is yes.
That was my question. My next question. All right, good. Thanks for answering.
So the answer is yes. For every hotel, you need a bed. Every hotel doesn't need a pool. Right. But is it important to the hotel that needs it? The answer is it's almost as important as the bed. So I'll give you an example. If you're in an area like, say, outside of Hershey, Pennsylvania, and you're not getting Hershey, Pennsylvania rate, and maybe you're not a brand, or maybe you are a brand, and you're maybe 20 minutes from Hershey, you don't have a pool, guess what? You're done. You need a pool to drive that rate. Because when they come back from Hershey, they want the pool. So the answer is, in some hotels, it's mandatory. In some hotels, it's a nice to have. In some hotels, it's a waste of money. So like anything else in the hotel business, the only things that are mandatory are hot water, a bed, and a roof. Everything else, what's that?
And good internet.
Yeah, actually, that is true. And so the answer is, it really depends. But the hotels that it's important for, it's critically important for.
Yeah, I agree. And I also would say there's a subset of hotels where you have to have the pool, even though nobody's going to use it, because it's one of those things where there's still a mindset out there. Oh, they don't have a pool? They don't have time to use it, but they just want it to be there to feel good about themselves.
Yeah, it's like the gym. Nobody uses it, but they want now the gym is used. But back in the day, you used to build these gyms and they weren't used. But anyway, talking about gyms, we're going to have somebody on our show soon that has a company called Max Pro, and they have a really good solution to building out a big gym if you have a small hotel. So we'll talk about that on the show. And if Glenn plays his cards right, he might get one.
Oh, I would. Yeah, I would like that. I need to.
Maybe I get you that instead of the Peter Luger steak that I promised you.
You're really making a Sophie's Choice decision.
How about both?
Long-term health, yummy steak. I don't know.
So, all right. So, ask me a question. I'll ask you a question.
I will ask you a question. So, now that your wife is retiring, how are you going to change your schedule?
Make sure that I'm out of the house as much as possible because that's where she wants me. We were having this conversation, and I was like when I have 1 foot of kind of chilling out, and she looked at me like, "No, I want time to myself."
Where are you going on your summer vacation this year?
How long do you know me?
I've known you long enough to know that you're probably not going to make it to Italy this summer, but you're definitely going to do like a weekend in Newark or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Exactly. We haven't. My kids are after us. We haven't had a family vacation in 8 years, and so I don't know. The answer is I don't know. I heard Massachusetts is a nice place this time of year.
I know a great hotel off the coast of Maine, and
yeah. So no, we're committed to going on vacation. We just don't know where yet.
That's cool. I will not be taking a vacation this summer. I'm going to try to enjoy the backyard a little bit out there and pay for my kids' college.
Because those institutions that they call colleges are taking your vacation money.
Yeah, Anthony, that is exactly right. I was actually just before we got on air. That's why I'm in a good mood today. Is the loan officer approved my loan for one of my kids just now? So that was pretty good. Todd McMasters, thanks for asking a question. Anthony, what would you say is the biggest red flag when you arrive to stay at a hotel?
The employee is more interested in the task than in you.
Yeah, I like that answer. For me, I would say curb appeal. If things don't look right on the outside, I start to get that spidey sense tingling that things ain't going to be so good on the inside.
I say it all the time. When people ask me that question, I used to say the parking lot lines. And they're like, parking lot lines? Yeah, if you go in and you go to park and all the lines are faded, that means they're not paying attention. So what happens? This is a perfect example in the hotel.
Yep.
Parking lines are faded. I'm not in my lane. I can't really see the line. Another guy, maybe his are not as faded. He gets in the line. He opens the door. He bangs my car. I come down in the morning and I say, hey, I was at the window. I saw a guy bang my car. That car banged my car. So what happens? Because you didn't paint the lines, the front desk's got to deal with it. Security's got to deal with it. It's going to be an insurance claim, maybe a police investigation, and boom, 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 boom. All because you didn't paint the lines at the parking lot.
Yeah. It's the smallest details that can yield the biggest results, right?
My whole, I'll give you an example. I walk, I get off the, where was I? I pull into one of the hotels. I park my car. I walk over to the ferry, and there's somebody there to meet me, and he's wearing kind of what I'm wearing, a suit and a shirt with no tie. And I was wearing suit pants, sneakers, because long story about my shoes, and then a nice collared shirt, right? Oh no, actually a sweater, nice collared sweater. And he said, I wore my suit because I've never seen you without a suit. And so the detail of me always showing up looking like I just, I didn't, I had driven 6 hours.
You didn't look like, I know what you're getting at. Yeah.
Listen, and this is overused and this is overstated, and the devil's in the details. It's all about the detail, all that stuff, right? At the end of the day, life is one big detail.
Yeah. You got that. You got that absolutely right. Yeah.
So let me plug something which I never plug. My friends
before you do that, let me just say, Todd says for him, it's trash or cigarettes on the ground everywhere. Shows lack of care and attention. Exactly what we were talking about. Go on.
So my friends at Atlas Media that have produced all my TV shows have just dropped the Tribeca Film Festival, getting great reviews.
Yeah.
The Liza Minnelli documentary that is
cool.
actually authorized documentary that she's in,
Mhm.
and it's getting crazy good reviews from everyone. So I'm sure it'll be on a streaming service near you. Or if you're at the Tribeca Film Festival this week, please stop by and see it. Fantastic. And we just, on our show, Hotel All Stars, on our first episode, we just broke 100,000 views. And our second episode that we just dropped broke over 60,000 views.
Nice.
So we're still, and I'm not really advertising it. So people are finding it and wanting to be, wanting to see it. So it's free. It's on YouTube, financed by the hotel industry, for the hotel industry, great hotels, great people. And you'll learn that in the show that it's hard to run a hotel.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, my advice is watch both episodes back to back on the plane coming to Charlotte, North Carolina for High Tech, where Anthony and I are going to be doing the keynote speech the morning of June 25th. Can't wait for that. Plus, doing other speaking engagements throughout the summer and into the fall. Looking forward to being at LendingCon in August and My Place in September. And at the end of September, beginning of October, with our friends over at Red Roof. Anthony, any final thoughts before we get out of here for today?
Yeah, I'll be spending some time in the New England area. So if you're from New England, you want to break bread and you're in the industry, reach out to me on social media. But I didn't ask you a question.
That's okay. Yeah, see?
This is good radio.
There's nothing left to there's nothing left to
your first car.
My first car was a hand-me-down from my parents, a Oldsmobile Delta 88 that actually was so rusty and messed up there were holes in the floor like a Flintstones car.
One of my mother's cars I remember was blue and white Delta 88 that I loved. Delta 88, bring the Delta 88 back.
All right, we got another great question here. This is a really good question, Anthony. Are you ready for this one? No hyperbole. Richard Rainey says, how should a GM handle a situation where he or she is getting beat up by the management company about guest scores, but the GM keeps telling them updates need to be made or we're going to get the same complaints?
Okay. Great question.
Yeah, really great question. Richard, I'd say it's one of the best questions we've seen asked of him.
Get a piece of paper. In the piece of paper, draw a line in the middle. Okay. On the left-hand side, put can control. On the right-hand side, can control. Okay. Every single thing that winds up on the left-hand side is your responsibility. And you better not make any excuses.
Right.
Okay. On the right-hand side, if the window fell out and there's no window, you can't control that. But you can control how the employee handles their response to the window falling out of the window.
Right.
So get very clear with what you can control, what you can't control. And don't make an excuse that, well, there's no air conditioning. That's why my employees are upset. There's the parking lot's a mess. This is a mess. Don't make an excuse because the hotel is not up to date. Your responsibility in the Jedi mind trick of our business is it's a 5-star hotel. And you have to have 5-star employees and you have to act like that. And you have to be positive. Now, you're doing all that. Your left column is not, it's clear. You get no complaints about your team, your service, and what you can control. Your ownership on the right-hand column is not listening to you. You're still getting beat up. There's something called a resume.
Right. Yeah. All right. Great advice. I absolutely love it. Hey, we know somebody that's just starting a new job on Monday as a GM, for example, right? Because you can.
Yeah. And I am going to that hotel on Monday. I'm going to check in under an anonymous name, and I'm going to cause chaos. Absolute chaos.
Oh, poor individual who we're talking about. All right, let's get out of here. Anthony and I have actually got to go work on our presentation for High Tech. I don't know if I mentioned it, June 25th, the morning in Charlotte at the convention center. All right,
Oh,
Pete, yeah.
I got to tell you something. I
Uh-huh.
did something the other day I have not done in 30 years.
Yeah.
Well, you're excited about this.
Yeah, what is that?
I had a full cup of coffee.
Oh yeah, we got yeah.
I've
That's
never had a cup of coffee.
tune into yesterday's episode to see all about the coffee experience as well. And while you're doing that, why not just follow us wherever you get your podcasts? We are downloadable, and if you want to give us a watch and see Anthony sip coffee, which we've never seen before, you could watch that, of course, on LinkedIn, Facebook, NoVacancyNews.com, and on our YouTube channel. I want to thank everybody for being here. Yeah, Anthony? Yeah, you were going to say something? What?
I like yesterday our guest came on, didn't really know our podcast, and at the end of the day, he was like, "This is the best podcast I've ever been in. Now I know why it's number one podcast. This was fun." And because we never know we're going to talk. Somebody yesterday said, "So how much preparation you put into these podcasts?" I was like, "This show today, the guest didn't show up, and then we just hit play and we went."
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We made it through at 36 minutes now. Thanks, everyone. Remember, you got only one life, so blaze on. If you have to make up a show, make up a show. Anthony.
And be kind to yourself.
See you next week. We'll be back with new shows.